Welcome to Bloombox Growing Deeper. I'm Sarah.
I'm Hannah, and we're on a mission to help you become the gardener you want to be.
A quick message before we start this episode. Due to the entertaining nature of some botanical names and the descriptions they offer us of plants, there is an uncut version of this episode available on our new Patreon account. So if you enjoy a good joke that may be less PG than many of our episodes, go to Patreon and look up the Nebraska Statewide Arboretum. But I will say this version is still plenty entertaining, so we hope you get a good laugh and learn a little something about Botanical Latin. Hello, gardeners.
Hello, everybody.
I'm so excited for this episode.
Sarah is stoked.
I've been waiting.
Couldn't sleep last night.
I couldn't. I've been thinking about the outline of this episode for days.
And I'll be honest, I haven't thought about it at all.
I'm not real surprised. What are we talking about today?
We are talking about Botanical Latin and Latin names. And we're going to be talking, I wanted to just, I guess, give myself a kudos. Even though I did nothing. Because we're going to be talking a lot about genus and species, right? Yes. And the differences and then all the varieties and various things. Don't worry, we're going to get into it. But I was proud of myself in our staff meeting yesterday when I explained accounting procedures by equating it to genus and species so that everyone would know what to do. And I was like, I am the only executive director who can use this example and it will work.
And you could see the recognition on the faces of everyone. Oh, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Maybe I should have.
So proud.
I struggled with finding an example that compared species and genus to other people's lives. Maybe I should have gone backwards and compared it to accounting.
You should not. No, most people are not a fan.
I was going to say, I don't know what I don't know enough about accounting.
You guys, I got a C+ in accounting, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure I've talked about this before. And it is the one part of my job that I do every day. Right? If somebody would have told me how important it was, I would have paid closer attention and not taken the accelerated course.
I took like one personal accounting class in my gen eds at community college to get it done. I passed it fine, I think. I have no memory of it really.
No.
But I do it all the time.
All the time.
The language I can speak to city administrators now is scary.
What's crazy to me is I do it every day and have a team of accountants that we contract.
Yes. So if we didn't have them, what would you be doing? Nothing but
quitting.
So
we must have accountants. So that's my one recommendation, everyone. Learn accounting. It'll always apply.
Hire an accountant.
Well, if you need a job, accountants are necessary now.
If you're a college student who can't decide their major, and not a bad one.
Have a job immediately that pays well. If you can handle numbers, I couldn't do it. I am, but I couldn't.
Enjoy numbers as long as they're heavily buffered by plants.
Not usually in accounting.
No, except for here.
Except for the audit.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay.
Back to a language we do speak, and I always tell people,
Latin.
Yeah, Botanical Latin. It's not actually a language; it's a system. So you can't really compare it to Latin.
Do you speak any other languages, or just Botanical Latin, which isn't a language? I guess this is new to me.
I know some Latin phrases, but I don't know what I know the Latin phrase and the English phrase, but I couldn't compare them word for word.
Okay.
But it's not the same because Botanical Latin is Renaissance Latin, specifically, which I don't know what that means. Just to be clear.
It's is this something I missed in school along with accounting?
Googled that. And which is Latin for the art, not for the speaking as nobody would speak Botanical Latin as a language. Okay. It's just a form of, it's like a classification system. So, but I usually tell people just accounting that you should hire an accountant and not feel bad when you don't know accounting words.
Yes.
It's the same kind of with Botanical Latin. We speak it because that's how we properly identify plants. We don't really think badly of anybody who doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not like something we expect everyone who comes to the greenhouse to speak.
Not even a little bit. I didn't know any plant scientific names at all before I started this job.
I bet you did. I bet you knew at least one.
Okay, well, I knew a couple.
Okay, see, everybody,
I try to exaggerate.
People know some, and more than you think. Aloe vera.
Everyone knows that one.
Allium.
I didn't know that one.
Oh, okay. There are some plants that just don't go by a common name.
Echinacea. I knew that one.
You knew, okay. Why do we use Botanical Latin?
So that we know exactly what we're talking about amongst each other.
Yes, because there's like sunflowers, for example, is the common name of like 10
billion
genuses and all their species.
We went with different numbers.
We did.
But it's a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean, because I have sunflowers, you have sunflowers. They are not the same
They're
sunflowers.
not the same sunflowers.
I have heliopsis.
Yeah.
You
I have no idea what
something.
I have. There's heleniums.
Yeah.
There's just like so many, anything that's yellow with a dark center, people call a sunflower.
Mm-hmm.
And that's cool because that means it's like the easiest plant to recognize.
Right.
Everyone knows what sunflower is, and I love that.
Unless it's a black-eyed Susan, then they call it that.
True.
But some people call black-eyed Susan sunflowers too.
Right. Some people don't know black-eyed Susan, and they just say sunflower, which is fine. Because if you come to the greenhouse to shop, we may call them those things on their bench cards to sell them to you, but they're all labeled with their scientific name so that they can be sorted into what they actually are.
Mm-hmm. So let's be clear. We're not telling everybody that they should learn the scientific names of all their plants.
I mean, I am. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sarah is.
I think it's good to know a few scientific names.
It's a recommendation.
It's a recommendation.
We're not trying
though.
to be snobby.
No, it's not like never come to an NSA plant sale if you don't know your scientific names.
We're going to start new passwords to get in. We're just going to show you a plant and you have to say the scientific name.
I love botanical names as passwords.
I am aware.
I think they're great passwords.
And actually, some of them are really good.
Yes.
I will agree.
You're not a fan of the
you.
ones I've most recently chosen.
The one you most recently chose, actually, once I read it, I was like, that one's actually pretty easy.
See?
You know what are not easy? Any of the grass scientific names. Those I find impossible to remember and impossible to spell.
Bouteloua?
Yeah. What is that? Or isn't there Sorghastrum? Sorghastrum. I don't know these. What is happening?
The one I can't spell to save my life is Symphyotrichum.
Well, yeah.
The new aster name. It's like sometimes it's a Y, sometimes it's an I. Who knows?
English. Oh, wait.
It's not
English.
So what is it? It's actually some Renaissance Latin, some Greek, and some straight up made up words. Mm-hmm. It's not all Latin even. And there is no real consensus on the pronunciation of some of these words because they don't even come from real languages. So you may hear not only plants have different common names, they all have the same scientific name, but people may pronounce it different.
Right.
Like I say Agastache.
And I say Agastache.
And some people say Agostiki.
Oh, no. Who says that? I have told this when I was in the after school program running that long time ago. We had a student named Leatrice.
Oh, that's so pretty.
And short, Leah.
Yeah.
I called her Leah. And so I did know that one coming in.
See, more that you knew.
But that one also is like Leatrice.
I say Liatris.
Mm-hmm. So like, and then it also has two common names.
It does.
That's it. You have Gay Feather, and then what's the other one? I always forget. Blazing Star.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So who knows what we're talking about at any given time?
Well, let me tell you who knows.
Okay.
That would be the International Code of Nomenclature, which is updated every 5 years by the International Botanical Congress. And the fact that that exists makes me so happy.
How do we get elected to that Congress?
I don't know. I think we need much more
You
college.
should get appointed.
Probably you have to have more college than we've had. You are at least
Have a doctorate.
most likely
In
botany, I would
botany.
imagine.
That was never a doctorate I was looking at.
I didn't actually do that well in botany, which is embarrassing since my botany professor is down the hall from us.
Oh, well. What matters is what you do with it.
It does. And tell you about botanical names is what I'm going to do with it.
Uh-huh.
So
Great.
I'm guessing.
But also, she did do well in that class, so we can't rely on it.
Well, it was the microscope
kidding.
portion of that class
Oh,
that I
yeah.
struggled with.
I
And being
feel
someone
that.
who wears very strong glasses, where microscope use was very difficult for me to figure out. And then there's all these people who are just like so good at it.
Yeah. I get you there. Okay, so tell us about how this came about.
Okay, well, I think we've probably all from like 7th grade science class heard of a guy named Linnaeus.
Nope.
No? Okay. So
Maybe
I think most people did. How many people remember their
from
7th?
history?
Well, I
that
learned
what
it
you
in
said?
science class,
Oh,
but maybe in
science.
history too.
Okay. I had a good science teacher in 7th grade. Maybe I learned it. I don't know.
bet you at least talked about it. His name is actually Charles or Carl von Linn, but
Okay.
somehow he got started being called Linnaeus. I didn't delve that deep into his history, but I wonder if he gave himself a scientific name.
That's legit.
Yeah,
Should we do that?
I think we should.
We'll do that.
Okay, we'll update you. He was a Swedish botanist in the 1700s, and he was very into organizing things, which is great because I'm not sure I am. He wrote what is called the Systema Naturae. Again,
Sure. It's Swedish, everyone.
no, I think it's Latin.
Latin. I don't speak any other languages. Let's be clear.
I don't know. I think it's Systema Naturae. Naturae.
Do you think it was one of those, you know how when the A and the E connect sometimes? I think that.
I'm guessing it was that because I don't know how to type that on the keyboard. So,
That's not a shortcut we use frequently.
no. And even though he was Swedish, he wrote it in the Netherlands because that's where he studied.
So I saw that and I was like, this is a lot of things that
Were you
don't go
like,
together.
Sarah, you're bad at geography. Sweden and the Netherlands are not the same place.
No, but
I think there was a lot of botanical study happening in the Netherlands at that time. He wrote it somewhere between 1735 and 1740.
it was a friend's joke about the Netherlands. Do you
There,
remember?
I do not. Do you want to inform me?
Sarah and I are both friends watchers. Is the one with all the football.
Oh,
That's the episode.
yes. Yes, I do remember this.
The lady from the Netherlands, and they go, Joey, where are the Netherlands? And he goes, that's this made-up place where Peter Pan.
And then doesn't she try to say she's Dutch, and then he gets mad because
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, everyone.
that was not pertinent to this conversation, but funny.
But I do agree. From what I understand, most of like the botanical information things happening at that time was Swedish, Netherlands, all that kind of area.
Much study and comparison of things. So there were classification systems before Linnaeus, but for some reason they all decided they liked his better. I think it was a very comprehensive system that included not just plants, but animals and fungi as well.
Right, because it's the same system.
Yes. So
Something I didn't think about.
can cover the kingdoms, and it was adaptable so that without having to create a new system, as we've been able to discover new organisms, we've been able to add on to his system. So it's been able to last.
Do you think we'll use it in space?
I don't know.
That could be fun.
It could be fun. Taking...
Just something to think about.
Imagine what he would think of that.
I know. I just know they rename stuff in space like all the time as they learn more about it. So I wonder what... That's a whole side thing for me to research on my own that does not apply to this podcast.
Not really. But they do rename plants all the time, too.
Yes.
Because in the 1700s, we were looking mostly at things we could see.
Right.
And we could observe if plants could procreate together, and that would tell us if they were related enough.
Right.
But now we can look at their chromosomes.
Right. We can do genetic testing on plants.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Maybe
easy.
they do like a 23andMe test, and it tells them who they actually are.
I am so surprised. You know, they have those for dogs and cats and stuff.
They do?
Yeah.
No, but I don't have a dog, so.
Right. Well, so I get the ads all the time, like, find out what breed your dog is, right? Because I have a mixed breed. Same as with people, where they're like, where are you from? I'm surprised they have not offered it for plants yet, because I know some plant people who would want to know, this plant looks a little different. Send it in. I don't know.
Well, I think that's what the lab upstairs on 3rd floor does.
Don't overwhelm them, people.
I don't know that you can just walk in and submit things to them.
I've sent multiple people up to them. So.
But they do change plant names, which is frustrating to those of us who do try to keep up on knowing the scientific names. But we're going to get into later, the scientific name tells us a lot about the plant, and so it is important that they're accurate.
Correct. Yep.
All right. What is in a name?
What's in a name?
What do we have in the scientific name? What are the parts?
Genus, species.
And?
Oh, no.
Okay, there's more options.
What did I miss?
No, it's okay. They're optional pieces.
Okay,
so
good.
The first part of a scientific name, and you'll recognize the scientific name because it will look weird. It'll be Latin, and it will be italicized.
Yes.
Properly. It will be italicized. So the genus is capitalized and italicized, and it is like the extended family. It's like all the aunts, uncles, and cousins. And you're going to find out the problem with my metaphor here shortly. So then the genus is like big categories. We have like asters.
Sure.
And then we have the species epithet, which we often just call the species. And it is also italicized, never capitalized.
Never capitalized. I've taken off many a point at the state fair for that issue.
Yes. Never capitalize the species. And it is kind of like the smaller family. So we have like asters, and then we have Aster laevis, which is smooth aster. We have Aster longifolius, and we have like, different things. Now, the problem with my metaphor is the reason they can be in the same species is because they can genetically produce seeds together.
Okay.
We don't recommend doing that within your immediate family. That's a problem. So, problematic metaphors.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it still kind of stands to show you the size of those categories. My computer's trying to restart. Then, properly to list the scientific name, you should include, depending on the person's preference, I guess, I don't know how you choose this, either the last name or the initial of the botanist who named it. So the most common one you see is Linnaeus.
Sure.
So you'll see, like, I have no idea if he named this plant, but you'll have Aster ericoides L. dot. And the L will not be italicized.
I have seen that. I didn't know what it was.
That's what that is. So if you see a scientific name and it has a letter and a dot or someone's name after it, that's the botanist who's credited with their name.
It seems very unspecific.
It's incredibly unspecific. It's also like, who decides if it's an initial or a name? I don't know. Maybe you get the choice. Maybe they get the choice. Who really knows? Sometimes plants are named for the people who discovered them.
Right.
I'm a very big fan of this botanist whose last name was Buckley, and now I have all these Buckley-eye plants.
Yeah, because then there's also times when people name newly discovered after other people.
Right. Many things named after Victoria.
Right. Queen's royalty is a popular one. Hence my royal garden.
Yeah. And then the optional pieces. So some plants will have varieties.
Wait, so the L dot is not optional? Because I don't see it.
I mean, it's proper, but who does it? It's like having the second fork at the dinner table.
Yeah, I don't
It's correct,
do that.
but who the heck does that?
One fork. You pick up the plates and you go, everybody save your fork for dessert.
Yeah. That's kind of where that L gets shoved. That's in the dessert fork. We don't do that in the Midwest, so not our problem.
That's right.
The next.
Yeah, what's the next optional part?
The optional parts then are variety.
Okay, these I know about.
Yeah, you do know about these, and you've probably seen them. So sometimes you will see Rudbeckia, speciosa, variation speciosa, which is obnoxious because it's the same word, but it does mean something. So the variation, and often it'll just be VAR dot.
Right.
They won't write out variation.
It stops fitting on the plant labels.
It does.
We've run into this problem.
It's very difficult to label plants with variations. Still in italics, all lowercase.
Okay.
This is a variation that occurs naturally in nature and continues to show up.
Okay. So things just cross themselves and here it pops up. And you go, oh, new baby.
Yeah. So we have, Rudbeckia speciosa variation speciosa shows some difference between Rudbeckia speciosa variation fulgida. Do I know what the difference is? No. But apparently there is a difference.
Okay.
Now, because they still have the same species, they could cross-pollinate.
Sure.
But whichever trait it shows determines which variation.
Okay, so it's still like an outward trait.
It's typically an outward trait.
That you can spot.
Right.
Okay.
I say typically is not fair. It is an outward trait. Your ability to see it with the naked eye is questionable.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sometimes you may need a magnifying glass or a microscope or somebody to tell you what the heck you're looking at.
I don't have those at home.
I want one. Have you seen those pocket microscopes?
I have.
I get ads for them all the time.
Yeah.
And they know they're marketed for kids, but I kind of want one.
Man, a trick I learned in conservation education was that much cheaper is that jewelers mirrors or whatever they call it work really well for that.
I believe
that is thanks to Jason the bird nerd at Spring Creek Prairie. He gave me that hack.
Yeah, because those things are like $40, and I know that my child would not treat it like it was worth $40.
That's right. They get left in the mud a lot.
And then we have, when humans get involved, we have cultivars, and that's what you see in quotes, and often will affect the common name.
I see. I thought they were the same, but they're not.
Well,
I love it.
There's more problems, but we're just gonna keep it simple for a minute. So the cultivar means cultivated variety, but we don't say that because that's long. So the cultivar means that humans have selected and continue to breed the plant for that trait. Mm-hmm. And because of that, we get like kind of extra naming rights, and you can have royalties on those because you did the work to maintain that trait.
Taylor juniper.
Yes, Taylor junipers, snow flurry asters. No italics on a cultivar because humans, not nature.
Because we're not fancy humans.
And then there's seed strains, which are just confusing.
Okay, well, I don't.
I don't want to go like super deep into those because I don't fully know the answer, actually. So we have like Solidago speciosa, quotes, Wichita Mountains. Mm-hmm. It's a seed strain discovered in the Wichita Mountains of Kansas and Oklahoma, and which aren't mountains, by the way, for anybody not from around here.
Right.
It looks like a cultivar on paper, but it is occurring in nature.
Right.
And I believe the difference between that and a variety or a variation is that left to nature, that trait would probably disappear. Mm-hmm. So it's a trait found and continued, but not manipulated by people. Okay. I am not 100% on that. That's what I've gathered from talking to other people because no one seems to have a good answer.
Yeah, but seed strains are important.
They are.
And it's important to know if you're if you're a home gardener, you don't need to worry about seed strains that much unless you really want to get into it.
Unless you want to. Then go for it.
Yeah. But if you're running a greenhouse or a growing operation, you really want to worry about seed strains because we talk about it hyper localized with trees a lot. So if we are going to grow a tree for eastern Nebraska, even if that tree grows in western Nebraska, we want a seed strain from eastern Nebraska
adapted to what we
it's
have.
better adapted. At the same time, if we're going to grow it in western Nebraska, then we get that. And so we keep track of that seed strain so that we know this tree's, even though it's the same tree, technically,
Yeah.
they're going to be better in different places.
And if you're doing habitat or conservation work, knowing a seed strain versus a cultivar is really important, because you don't want to be releasing cultivated varieties into your conservation plantings.
Right.
However, nomenclature-wise, or naming, that's what governs the way we write a scientific name. They look exactly the same. And that's a pet peeve of mine, because it causes me a lot of discussion to have between, there's people with the native purist attitude that we can only plant specifically native plants. And yet we can't tell always from just reading the name if it's a cultivar or just a seed strain. That was a tangent. I did not intend to go down quite that long.
Well, but I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then the other thing I wanted to just share was where we get these names. So sometimes it's for the person who found them. So we have Buckley-eye plants. We have Phlox Buckley-eye and Quercus Buckley-eye.
Do you have them all?
I have those too. There is also a primrose that I haven't got a hold of yet. And then a lot of things. He was from Texas.
Right.
There's a lot of things I just
won't
can't grow.
Yeah.
But I do want to collect those. There's also where they come from. So we have Pagnanthemum virginiana, actually native to a large part of the U.S., but it must have been first found in Virginia. And then we have the use of plants, characteristics like color, fuzziness, things like that. Sometimes it tells us the environment that they're from. Are they from a wet place or a dry place? Or sometimes we have like mythological qualities like Helenium, named for Helen of Troy.
It's also a subject I failed in 7th grade. Guys, not a good year.
So let's pretend 7th grade didn't happen.
Yeah.
So that is a very quick little update on the background. And then I just want to talk through like some of the common species names that we come across and what they tell us about the plant.
Absolutely.
I did forget to share with the changing of scientific names. If you want to kind of follow that and like you're just curious about why a name got changed or what it got changed to, there is a website called theplantlist.org, and they kind of keep up with what this International Botanical Congress is declaring at their meetings.
I really think we should put together a movement to get us appointed.
I just think that sounds so fancy. The International Botanical Congress. In 2011, they met in Melbourne, Australia, and I could sure use a trip to Melbourne.
I would be of no help on that Congress.
Pretty much none whatsoever, but I'd really enjoy visiting Australia.
All right. Yes. So, like, one of the ones that I remember changing recently that caused us a big stink was asters.
Yes.
Symphytrichum.
Especially since they moved from the front of the alphabet to the end of the alphabet.
And that's how we organize our greenhouse.
And our bench space was not organized to properly house the whole aster collection at the other end of the alphabet.
And so we just left it.
Yeah, that's the other thing, is just because they changed these names, there's nobody who like goes around enforcing that.
The confusing part to me, though, was that all the asters changed to Symphytrichum. Right?
No, there were things that dropped out of the list.
Oh, good gracious.
Yeah, they weren't typical to us.
Oh, okay.
So that didn't really affect us.
Okay, so there's still asters. Asteraceae?
Well, that's the family.
Right.
That comes before the genus. So Symphytrichum is still within the Asteraceae family, which you're going back a step. I left families
I'm going too far.
out of this. Do you remember the list? Kingdom,
yes.
phylum? Yeah.
I got the list. Yes.
I don't. That's how far I got. Kingdom, phylum.
Is it order, family, genus, species?
Good job. orders. That's what I forgot.
Mm-hmm.
So I only went back to genus because that was all that really mattered to me. But plant families do tell us some things.
All right. Give us some...
Yeah.
Throw some names at us.
Well, I want to start with one that I think you will like particularly because...
I love this book, by the way.
Isn't it pretty? It's called Gardener's Latin. There's actually a different book I wanted because it went into the history of Botanical Latin a little bit, but this one was on our bookshelf, making it free. So
we will, if it's available still in print, we'll put it on our bookshop.org.
It's really pretty because it's got all these botanical drawings, and then they illuminated the first, like, alphabet.
Illuminated. What does that mean?
Like the old medieval, like when the first letter of the first word is like all fancy drawn.
That's called illuminated?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I tried to learn how to do it once. It turns out I'm not very good at it.
If you guys haven't figured it out yet, Sarah's much fancier than I am.
I just collect really random pieces of information.
All right.
So
let's do it.
The species name that I think you will appreciate is Albus.
Albus Dumbledore.
Yes.
I knew this one, actually.
I know. This is like one of the first ones I remembered because I was like, oh, Dumbledore. And he has a white beard. Albus means white. So if the plant has white flowers, it might have the name Albus. There's like variations of that. So there's...
And didn't Dumbledore mean bee?
It sounds bee-like. Dumbledore sounds like a bee name.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So white bee?
Maybe. I don't know. Somebody fact check me.
There's also albulus, which is white-ish. So we can have white or we can just have kind of white.
Oh my god.
And there's like there's like a lot of variations of this. There's albomaculatus, having white spots. And there's albocincutus, white girdled.
I am already mad about this.
So you can get quite specific with what your species epithet means.
Oh my gosh. I no longer want this book.
Oh, it's so
I'm
fun
just
though.
Kidding.
Okay, here's my list of what I came up for us. So we've done Albus.
Yes.
One I left off of this is Fistulosa.
Fistulosa.
So we have Monarda fistulosa.
Like fistules? Isn't that a medical thing?
No, that's pustules?
Pustules.
Yeah.
But I thought
like the puking pistol. I forgot my back.
Puking pastels is what it was in Harry Potter. Because pastel is a candy.
Fistulosis means tubular or pipe-like. So if you think about a bee balm flower, it's got all these little tubular... The flower's actually made up of lots of flowers, and they're tubular.
Okay, so that makes sense. A fistula in anatomy is an abnormal connection between two hollow spaces.
Okay. So I sucked at anatomy real bad.
So that's why I was like, it's a medical thing, right?
That makes sense. And anatomy was... Actually, I avoided taking that class.
Okay, I did a good job in anatomy.
Good job.
I thought I was going to be a vet, remember? I thought I needed to learn things.
I thought I was going to be a vet, and then I took anatomy, and also...
Chemistry for me. That did it.
It was not a good combination. But that makes us a good combination because we have opposite skills.
Yay. Okay.
What's next?
I do... The officinalis is one that I didn't know the meaning of until recently.
Yeah.
That's for medicinal use.
And it doesn't tell you what the medicinal use is, unfortunately.
Do you eat it? Do you make a paste? Do you,
Do you treat it internally or externally?
Which is an important distinction.
So it's not a diagnosis, but it does tell you that the plant has a history of medicinal use. Mm-hmm. Vulgaris, which you would think means ugly, does not.
Vulgar.
It means common. So, I mean, you think about vulgar, common, so we have... it would be like the most common form of the plant. I just totally blanked on anything vulgaris.
I couldn't tell you any that have it.
Speciosa means showy, not the species. So I put those two next to each other because you might think speciosa means like the most common. We have like Solidago speciosa.
Species.
It's the goldenrod. It's not. It's showy.
It's typical species, Barbie. If you've seen Barbie yet,
I have
not.
did
see last night. So good.
So speciosa, showy. So we have showy goldenrod, we have showy milkweed, we have lots of things. Sometimes you'll also hear common for speciosa, but like you'll have common milkweed is Asclepias speciosa.
But speciosa doesn't mean common.
I'm gonna cut that because that's gonna confuse people.
That is so confusing. Okay, I like rigida though, because
Yes.
that sounds exactly like what it is.
Yes,
It's rigid.
Like, Solidago rigida is stiff goldenrod.
Yes.
It means what it sounds like.
Oh, thank goodness. We have one.
We have one. And paradoxa is similar. It means strange or unexpected.
It's a paradox.
It's a paradox. So Echinacea paradoxa is yellow. Most echinaceas are some form of pink or purple
Right, I don't like paradox.
because it's weird.
Because it's yellow.
I kind of stay away from it because if I'm going to have a yellow coneflower, I may as well have a retibita
Right. Mm-hmm.
or, something that's supposed to be yellow, I guess.
Right. I look at that coneflower and I go, there's something wrong. I don't like it. It makes me uncomfortable. So I'm going to stick with my vulgaris.
I mean,
But
that makes sense.
There are no coneflowers named that.
I'm not aware of any, no.
But common ones, I guess. Oh my
Or
gosh.
it just might be that they're not from North America.
Going off the deep end. Okay. Perfect.
So macro or macra, I think you can guess, means large.
Finally another one.
Yeah. And it's usually combined with another word. So we have macrophylla is large leaves. Phylla usually refers to leaves. That makes sense in my head. I can see that. I don't know if it makes sense to everyone. I think I've just taken enough plant science that phylla means leaf. And it's just ingrained.
Sure. Isn't there macrocopa?
Macrocarpa.
Carpa.
And I don't remember what carpa means.
Okay.
I can look it up quick. It says it means large cones. So yeah, Quercus macrocarpa has big acorns. I don't know.
Sure.
Lactatus is milky.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So like milkweed. Mm-hmm. I don't know a milkweed called that, but that's my example is if you cut open a milkweed and the white stuff comes out. So we have Baptisia lactea. It's white. It's kind of different. It's a creamy white. So it's like milky looking.
That just grossed me out. I don't know why. I was like, ugh. Because there's Baptisia alba too, right?
Yeah.
Which is white.
Very white. Actually, no. I believe they are disagreement of names.
You
Baptisia
guys.
alba and Baptisia lactea are the same thing.
Oh, no.
So the reason that we get confusion like that where a plant has the same name, not like a changed name, is there's such a thing, they call it the law of primacy. So the first accepted published scientific work to refer to a plant by a scientific name starts out as right until it's DNA, it's studied and they say, oh, DNA wise this plant belongs somewhere else.
It's like Star Trek.
So I think
Prime Directive.
it was a very
Order
official sounding name, I thought.
Yes.
So it might be, sometimes you have like a scientific article come out one part of the world and another part kind of close to the same time. And you get two scientific names running around. Well, the Congress has chosen one, but who checks with them all the time?
The more you talk about this Congress, the more I want to be.
You just want the power.
Well, Slytherin. Yes, I'm very Slytherin. Okay. What's the next one? Spicata.
Yep.
Spiked. That one also makes sense.
Liatra spicata, spiked gay feather. There's really not a lot of confusion that could happen there.
Yep.
Pilosum means soft hairs. So you have Phlox pilosum is a soft, fuzzy plant.
Like a possum.
I don't.
That's how I'm going to remember it.
Okay. Are possums soft? They look so weird. Have you touched a possum?
Only a dead one.
Okay, Slytherin.
After the dog killed
Dead
it.
possum.
It was the dog's fault.
My dog got a possum once, but he pulled off all its hair before I got to it, so it was not soft.
I can't talk about what my dog did to the possum.
I'm going to skip down the list because I want to compare pilosum, which is soft and hairy, to hirsutus, which is coarse and hairy.
And somehow hirsutus, that made sense to me. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah,
Hairy.
hairy. But I don't know.
Pilosum? I don't know. That sounds soft and fluffy to me, but I don't know why. It could just be because I know that word and have associated with, if you've ever felt phlox pilosum, it's like our pink phlox.
Yeah.
It's just like the softest, like delicate, fuzzy.
Right.
I don't know. And then hirsutus, we have penstemon hirsutus, which is hairy penstemon, and there's nothing soft about that. It is hairy, but it's not soft.
Okay.
We also have penstemon digitalis, and digitalis, if you think of the digits on your fingers,
Fingies.
is hand-like.
Okay, like a lead plant too? Does that have digitalis in it?
No.
Oh my god.
And I don't know, I don't find penstemon digitalis particularly hand or finger-like, so I can't speak to how they
I
named
don't
it.
either.
But it is what it is. Not my choice. Also, like,
Until we get to the Congress.
until we discuss with them the fact that
We will have a lot of changes to make.
Right. And digitalis always confuses me. That's not what I thought it was going to mean, because penstemon digitalis is foxglove penstemon, and digitalis is the genus of foxglove flowers. And so I thought it meant fox. Like, I thought it was going to be something fox related,
Okay, sure.
but it's not.
Yeah.
And then we have tenua. And I know that sounded like I cut it off because you're used to hearing tenuifolium or tenuifolius.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. No, Sarah. Nobody was finishing it that way. I was the, like, tenuous. Sure. No. Just like you're all thinking about tenuifolium. No, nobody is thinking that.
I was. That is all I was thinking of. Okay, but it is tenuous makes sense. It's slender. It's tenuous. Tenuifolium is slender leaved, and tenuifolius is slender flowered.
Great.
Yes.
Okay.
That's how we get slender leaf mountain mint.
Yes, which the mountain mints I do confuse.
Yeah, there's
For sure.
many of them. Mm-hmm. Also, a mountain mint is virginianum from Virginia. We kind of already covered that.
Yes. Are there other states?
Texensis, I see a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Carex nebraskensis. Nebraska sedge.
Yeah. Why do we have to add... Why can't we just say Nebraska?
Well, because that doesn't sound Latin-y. That's why I said they made up some of these words.
They definitely made
They
them
are
up.
definitely not all real words.
We know Nebraska wasn't a real word. It was stolen from native peoples.
It wasn't a real word to them?
But not the way we say it or spell it
so
now.
we like took it and misinterpreted it and then used it.
Yes.
And then the Latin names
further did
that. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot. There's probably every state. There's Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's probably one for all of them.
Probably. I want to know Hawaii's. Hawaiiensis? I don't know. I just made that up.
Fun.
No one quote that.
But we are part of the Congress, so we will make it official.
The Congress. Okay, where are we? Gracilis. I'm guessing maybe you can guess that one.
See, it says graceful on your paper,
It does.
but I thought grass.
Oh, that makes sense. I mean,
But,
grass is slender and graceful.
Sometimes,
Some grass.
except for the grass that cuts you open.
That's true. I did get a grass paper cut the other day, and man,
Those
that
are the
thing bled like
worst.
crazy.
It's like razor blades.
Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
also had a great encounter with a lilac bush I was trimming this weekend and split my lip open with it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it made me look very tough for like a day.
So I also, I was transforming my back garden that has gotten out of control. It's covered in weeds from the back neighbor who the house is vacant. So that's why. I'm not trying to blame my neighbor,
Right.
but the house is vacant. And it has this huge vine thing growing. So I was cutting it back, and it's a thick vine. And as I was putting it into the prep the bags to get it hauled away because that's not going in the compost.
No.
It smacked me in the face 4 times. Going, I was like,
Is
it
it the
does
vine of
not
death?
want to go. No, it's a different one.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is.
I don't know what I did to this lilac bush. I just wanted to prune it so it would bloom nicely, and I got a little angry and smacked myself in the face. So it was a bloody day in my garden this weekend.
Hence why I wear goggles.
I think that's very wise.
Protect your eyeballs.
Yes.
Okay, what's the next
Completely
one?
lost where we are. Oh, strictus.
Mm-hmm.
So there's Penstemon strictus. There's lots of strictus. It means erect or upright. So strict.
Right. And I thought it meant, because we will often say like straight species or strict species.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking, but that's not right.
No.
Because can you explain real quick what like a straight species is?
Straight species is no cultivar or variation. Right. So it's almost everything. So it's like we have Asclepias incarnata, which is swamp milkweed, and that's the straight species. And then we have Asclepias incarnata, and then in quotes, ice ballet.
Right.
Which is white swamp milkweed, and that's the cultivar.
Fancy. Ice ballet.
Ice ballet.
Sounds fancy.
It does. It looks the same. It's just white. So there you go.
These people who name these things. Because then I'm like, then it should just be Alba.
Right. And so we haven't really even talked about common names a lot, but the people who choose common names are sometimes like definitely enjoying life or really boring. Like there is a purple mildew resistant bee balm. That's its cultivar name, purple mildew resistant.
Name it something better.
Right?
Like, there was that person who discovered something. I think it was a salamander, and they named it after Taylor Swift. Like, that's better than nothing. Come on.
Sure. Better than purple mildew resistant, which I will say tells it like it is. It is purple.
I mean, yeah,
and it's
least.
mildew resistant. So
sure, that salamander didn't look anything like Taylor Swift.
Gee, I hope not. That'd be terrifying. Could it sing?
Not that I know of. I think they were just big Swifties.
Oh, and they just wanted their chance to honor her.
Okay. I mean, it made the news. What you gonna do?
Maybe that was their plan all along.
I'd name it after Lizzo. Maybe I'd get a mirror.
That would be more suitable.
That'd be fun.
Next, we have another one that I think you'll be able to guess, which is Azalea.
Blue.
Yeah.
Yay!
Sky blue.
I did it.
My favorite is Salvia azarea, which actually is not its full name. It's like Salvia azarea variation grandiflora or something like that because it has big flowers. Grandiflora.
Mm-hmm.
Not macroflorus, which also means big flowers.
Oh my God.
So
my brain.
Perhaps the lesson you can learn from this episode is no one knows what the heck is going on. So just go with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll end on a nicer one.
Okay.
Which is odora or odorata.
Smell.
Fragrant.
Mm-hmm.
But a good one. Not an odorous odor.
Not the stinko flower.
Oh, that would. Is that Oscar the Grouch's pet?
I don't know. Stinky.
So we have these Sesame Street stickers, and Silas found a stinky plant sticker. He goes, "Why is this plant so angry?" And I said, "Well, it smells bad." I don't know. Anyway, odora is the opposite of poop. It means sweet or fragrant.
Good.
As in Solidago odora, which is sweet goldenrod, and is my third favorite goldenrod. It's my third favorite goldenrod.
Okay, what are 1 and 2?
My first is Wichita Mountains, which we already talked about. And my second is Solidago rigida, the stiff goldenrod. And then my third is the sweet, which is actually what's planted in my yard.
There you go.
Yes.
I like it. Okay, does that sum up the very confusing names?
Maybe. Maybe not. It's hard to tell.
Like everything, we're not sure.
Sometimes, I think the lesson from here is sometimes you can learn things from the common names or from the scientific names. But there may be multiple answers to the same question. So big, macro, grand, all good,
You're
all
gonna
big.
Explode my brain.
Just don't be too rigid about it, and it'll help you out in your shopping. And if you have concerns, don't call us. Call the International Botanical Congress, who probably won't take your call.
Because they haven't taken mine. Oh, okay. I gotta think about something else.
Yeah. How about what's blooming right now? Oh, update us on your Calaroe.
Okay, guys. It's dead. Just one of
knew
them.
that. Okay, just
The
one
rest are
dead.
still going.
Too big.
I was working in the garden this weekend, and I went, where'd all that dirt come from? And I put it back. And then the next day I walked by and I went, where'd all that dirt come from? And then I realized there's something living under there that is kicking that dirt up. It was a bad weekend for wildlife in my house.
Man, you had a wild weekend.
I also walked down to my basement to spot a raccoon butt hanging out of my chimney thing down there. So that was fun. Anyways, that's what's happening in my Calaroe. It's a whole thing.
So
I don't know what to do either. So then I came in and said, Sarah, we need to do a podcast on non-insect pests in the garden. She goes, great idea. And I was like, sooner the better. Because I need to know what to do. I don't know. Send us your tips. Send me your tips.
Or your experts, because that's a hard question that we don't really know the answer to.
Especially to find people who aren't just going to come out and poison things.
Yes. That's not
what
helpful,
I'm interested in.
And not very helpful in our yards where our pets and our children are. So, any ideas or professionals that you know, and also like the selling things, like we could call a pest control company, but they're going to come on our podcast to sell their product. So,
yeah.
Anybody you've got in mind, we could use some help.
And I'm not looking for the Caddyshack method either.
How about the one, have you seen the Instagram reel where the guy like pours gas in the hole and then throws a match in and his whole yard blows up?
Oh my God.
It's kind of funny, but bad.
What a
funny,
disaster.
but bad. It like the whole grass just lifts up and flops back down.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty, I mean, I'm glad it's not my yard, but I did enjoy watching it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we're going to approach it with smarts.
And a little more delicacy.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Is it delicata?
Delicata.
Is that one?
I don't know. We'll approach it with Grace.
Oh. Oh, gosh.
I could go with tenuifolium as well.
Because it's a tenuous relationship.
It's a tenuous relationship.
Anyways, what is blooming in my garden? Some of my midsummer alliums are just starting. So I have a nodding prairie onion, one of my favorites. I took a picture of it and posted it on Instagram this weekend.
Yay.
And I had to lay on my back, right? Because it nods.
Yes, to get underneath
it. So it makes for a cool photo.
It does. And you need to have Matthew take the behind the scenes picture of you laying on the ground trying to take a picture of nodding onion.
Yeah, it would be amusing. And the dog's usually there trying to get in my face too. Yeah. It's a fun time. So that is blooming. My ironweed is still blooming.
Mine just started.
So big and pretty.
How big is yours?
It's taller than me.
Oh, okay. Which one do you have?
The tall one.
I think
Arkansas.
I thought I had the iron butterfly one, but mine is like blooming into our second story window.
Yeah.
So I think I do not have iron butterfly, which is supposed to be 4 feet tall.
No, I wanted a very tall one for that spot.
Completely happy with it because it's like the view out this window is of our neighbor's house.
Right.
So the fact that this plant got tall enough to bloom in front of our neighbor's house, fine by me.
Yeah, I love it. And then I had just remembered another one that's blooming right now. Hold on, it'll come to me. Maybe not.
That's.
Oh yeah, my hyssop, giant hyssop.
Yes. Oh, pretty.
It's so pretty and smells so good.
Not fit hyssop in to my yard.
Is that an officinalis?
There is, hyssop officinalis.
I don't know if that's one I planted.
Very medical.
Yeah, I intend to make a tea.
Yum.
For my people in my life who have migraines. It's supposed to help with that.
I await the report.
Bob told me.
Okay.
And honestly, hasn't led me astray.
No, he kind of knows his medicinal plants.
So we'll see. I'm going to give it a go. What's blooming in your garden?
Speaking of tea, my chamomile is going nuts.
Ooh,
so
fun.
I pick like a whole bunch of flowers and 3 days later I can pick more.
Nice.
I have this herb drying rack in my basement so I can have some tea.
Mm-hmm.
And what else is blooming? Oh, I've got baby cone flowers. I had to...
Babies.
Well, I say they're babies because I had to dig up their parent because it had aster yellows.
Right. And you're wondering what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm kind of waiting to see what's... I'm sure they're going to get it too because they're like right in that spot. But in the meantime, they're very pretty.
Yay.
And it's nice because I really wanted to have them.
Mm-hmm.
I think my goldenrod is starting. I have one of the earliest ones, which is the sweet goldenrod.
Mm-hmm.
So it is just turning the faintest yellow.
To me, sweet goldenrod also looks fuzzy.
It is kind of,
Yeah.
It's it's more airy. The flowers are kind of more open.
Mm-hmm.
And our sunflowers, we've got like the gigantic tall sunflowers.
Yeah. Also second floor.
Yeah. Or third.
Yeah.
What else? Just everything.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like the whole garden.
I did not list everything that is.
But those are the ones I'm most excited about right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, man. I love it. So good.
All right.
It's such a beautiful time in the garden right now.
It is. This is my favorite. I mean, it is hot. Like,
It's hot.
I have to get out there like first thing in the morning, or I wait till after bedtime and go back out myself because I'm kind of cranky when it's like 95.
Mm-hmm.
But
I will say I posted an Instagram reel, my first reel
I saw it.
ever.
It looked great.
From the backyard farmer garden. Wow, if you haven't been by recently, it is peak beautifulness.
It is. Oh my goodness.
Come on
all
by.
of all the annuals that they have and the perennials, everything's blooming.
I gotta tell you, I'm a sucker for marigolds.
Yes. They're so,
And they look amazing.
I don't always plant them because in the spring I think they're kind of boring, but they're so yellow.
They're so whatever color, because like I love the yellow and the orange.
Yep.
Or the sheer amount of ruffles on them.
And I like the orange, like the burnt red ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love me a marigold.
Yeah.
Simple but beautiful.
I'm going to add a new question.
Okay.
What are you eating from your garden right now?
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm eating a ton of cucumbers.
I know. I'm eating some of your cucumbers, too.
And my Nebraska wedding tomatoes
Ooh.
are finally ready, also from Bob. Some shishito peppers, also from Bob. I put my basil in pots so that I can move it in towards the end of the season and keep it for just a little bit longer. And I tried to pick up my Thai basil. It has definitely grown through the pot into the ground. And I was like, well, that's an experiment. Failed.
I don't know. Right.
I'll be able to. Yeah. But so we will see. So yeah, those are all the things. I mean, tons of mint.
Yeah.
I like mint in so many things.
Yeah.
So
Mint is always good to have. Mm-hmm. Lots of carrots in our garden.
I'm jealous.
Had a carrot bumper crop. I'm going to plant a second crop of carrots and parsley, but I always plant lots of parsley because I like making that green sauce to put on stuff. And herbs. I just got some plums from a friend's garden. Ooh. So we ate some, and I'm going to make, I think, jelly or something. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to do plum apple.
Ooh, yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm. Never had that combination before.
But I don't see why it wouldn't work.
I Googled good plum combinations, and that was one of them. So I think it will be good.
Love it.
Well, we have lots of exciting things coming up, including how to get rid of gophers in your garden. So
voles or something. I don't know.
Whatever it is.
I might just start digging, see what I find.
See if you can dig
a whole
one up.
city under there.
Maybe, yeah. I have no idea. Send Alistair in.
I'm going to. He has dug up a vole here and there. He's a useful dog.
Good. They should be. My rabbit, not so helpful.
I just love that she can't handle being dirty.
She does not like to be dirty. She loves the carrot tops, though. She's a fan of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for listening, everybody. Send in your questions, especially if they are about voles. Or your answers, especially if they are about voles. I would appreciate it. And please don't forget to rate and review us so that we can meet more people, send our information out. join as a member on plantnebraska.org or join our subscription on our Patreon. So many ways to be a part of everything that we do. And we really appreciate you listening. Bloombox and Bloombox Growing Deeper are both programs of the Nebraska Statewide Arboretum.